Welcome to the Calmer Self podcast. I'm Nadine. Join me to learn how to connect with the calmer version of yourself. I'll share with you my tips and coping strategies for reducing feelings of stress, overwhelm and guilt so that you can live a productive life with ease and joy. And there'll be inspiration from other wellbeing therapists, experts in relaxation and fellow calm crusaders. Well, hello everybody. Today, I am so thrilled to be talking to the amazing Claire Martin, O.B.E, nonetheless. Now, Claire is the most wonderful jazz singer. She's also a broadcaster, an educator, and now a producer. I'm really excited to find out more about that. So welcome, Claire. It is so lovely to speak to you today.
Thank you for asking me. I'm thrilled and very honoured to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. Oh, it's just so lovely to chat to you. So I'd like to start really with you. I know you're really passionate about what you do and you bring joy to so many people. So could you perhaps just start by explaining what is your passion and your joy and why you love what you do so much?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm one of those very lucky people that has had music as my job. I'm a musician. When I was 19, I got my first job as a professional singer. And even though I was sort of thinking, oh, this is a bit of a laugh, but I sort of started taking it seriously in my early 20s. And throughout that time, I'm now 53, I've managed to have the most amazing life, working with great musicians, people that are just inspirational to be around, let alone make music with. And it is a real privilege to be a musician. It's not an easy road, but it's, and especially now, you know, where we're all sort of trying to maintain any form of creative thought and outlet. But yeah, so my great privilege is that I am a musician, and I'm very grateful that the road is carrying on.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm very grateful that you're a musician too, because it's very important. I love to hear you sing, and spreading that. It is spreading joy, isn't it? And it's that music to me, and I think for a lot of people, it's a connection, isn't it? And I've seen you live several times, not enough, but I've seen you live, and you really, it's not just about your singing, but you connect with your audience so beautifully. And it does singing. When you listen to someone sing and when you sing yourself, and especially we all know about the benefits of choir singing together, don't we? There is that connection, isn't there? And brings up emotion. So perhaps could you explain a bit more about that and how that is so beneficial?
I think when you go to a concert as an audience member, you are there in anticipation of, you hope to be touched and moved and to feel things and to go on your own personal journey. And your job as the audience is to be open to the experience and to listen and to go with it. And my job as the singer, as the performer, is to put you in a place of trust, so you can relax and you can think, oh, she knows what she's doing, so I'll go with this. And then I've got to we've all got to settle in with each other. And then I'm going to try and tell the stories to be true to the lyrics that I've chosen to sing and the songs that I've chosen for my set, and bring my experiences to those lyrics, hopefully then luring you in to come along. And even if it's a situation in a song that you've never been in, I'm trying to put it across in a certain way that you think, oh, even though that's not happened to me, I wonder what I'd be like if it had. So not every song can reach everybody's hearts and minds, but so I guess it's a joint thing, and you really are going on the vibe of the audience, you're going on the energy of the audience. Is so important. It's crucial. It can make or break a performance. It can just change things. It can lift things. It can heighten everything. If we feel on stage that the audience are going with us and encouraging us, it lifts us and it makes us more creative. And as jazz musicians, as we're totally improvising in the moment, not as much for me because I'm sticking to the lyrics, but the guys that are going for it, we warm to the audience, and what they give us back really can fuel us to the next level. So it's a two-way thing, and it's it can be really difficult if you get to a concert and people aren't going to invest in that. Oh, they just didn't even want to come out that night, and they're sitting at the front with their arms folded, and I'm crying and I'm singing my heart out, and I've got no connection. So I think, you know, after all these years singing in small jazz clubs or big, huge auditoriums or outdoors or all the different places I've been very lucky enough to do, it doesn't matter. You've got to have the audience coming with you on it, and then something magical can happen, and everyone can walk away going, really got a lot from that. That was great. And I especially like that song when gives her that, and I like that bit, and everybody's got something to say, and that's the conversation that's had between the artist and the audience. And it's taken me a long time to, you know, really settle in with that, and to, as I've got older and I've got more life experience and just got more stagecraft, and realizing that it's nice to talk to the audience in between songs. It's nice to have a little anecdote about one of the songs. It's nice to have a bit of rapport with the musicians on stage. It's a whole thing. It's a craft. And it's taken a while to get that together. I certainly couldn't have done that as comfortably as I do now in my 20s. I just didn't know myself enough. I was just flailing around.
Well, you're an expert at it. Every time I've seen you do it so beautifully, you are an expert. Like you say, it's a craft, isn't it? And you're absolutely right. I love the way that you put that you're connecting, you're telling a story, you're sharing some of you, moving from the sunshine.
This is a nice thing to do.
But it's so beautiful, isn't it? And you're absolutely right. You know, there have been times when I've thought, oh, I don't know the song you're going to sing. I don't know what's coming up. But you lead us in, and we do trust you and go, oh, you know, now I understand a bit more. And you connect more with each song, don't you? Like you say, the lyrics. And I really love that. I really love being involved and being part of it. So it's really, really special, isn't it?
I think people want to feel touched, you know, in a certain way. Not every song. And not everybody in the audience. That's another thing as a performer. You've got to realise if you've got a room of 100 people, 10 of them might not like it. Just might not be for them. You can't just force feed people. You've got to meet in the middle somewhere with music.
Yeah,
and certain songs will tickle their fancy, and certain others won't. And that's just, you know, it's rare you go to see something and 100% of all of it is just completely up your alley. But that's the joy of trying to read the room and seeing what's working.
It's quite an art, isn't it? It's so rounded, isn't it? Every part of it.
It
now you also are a voice coach, aren't you? You help people express themselves and sing, and I think again there's great power in that, isn't there? A lot of what I do is about getting feelings out, getting emotions moved, because we hold ourselves stuck quite often tight, and I know that singing is quite, I mean, I'm not the best singer, but I do sing sometimes, and it's quite therapeutic. So I sing, shout and scream as well, but you know, singing is there. And it's good. I like to think I'm good, but it is very, you know, it helps people grow confidence, doesn't it? And it is empowering. So again, can you sort of share a bit of your experience of that, and how good, well, how lovely it must be for you to be able to help people in that way?
I think it is invisible medicine, music, isn't it? It's invisible medicine. It's hugely cathartic, and it can be so enriching, and it can be, I do teach adults, but I'm mostly teaching university students technique, and I'm watching these. They're from 18 to, they're from about 19 to 23, 24. So the young people finding their voices.
Oh, lovely.
It's great. And my biggest thing that I'm teaching them is to not compare, you know, just totally don't compare your voices, enjoy your journey, get to know your voice, befriend it, know what it can and can't do. Don't beat yourself up, but the compare and despair thing, I really find stop them from doing. And it's very easy to do that when you hear singers that you want to sound like. I mean, when I put Aretha Franklin on, I just think, I don't know why I'm bothering doing this, but you know, that's her voice and her journey. So it's really important that I get them to understand that their beautiful voice will keep them going for decades, you know, and that they've got to go with it and just try and understand it and nurture it. And that's really good, because that's very important to me, that not comparing. And in adults, I teach people to unlock their voices that they've wanted to sing for years and years. I've just recently produced a lady who's in her 60s who wanted to do it when she was in her 20s. She was a nurse and now she's retired. And she's like, I'm going to make a record. And it was fantastic because it was so empowering for her. And she can sing. And that's the other end of it, really. So I think it's I'm lucky to see lots of different people experience lots of different joy from music. And, we all know that they're scientifically proven that when you do sing, chemicals are triggered in the brain, it releases endorphins, and that can give us such a, it can quell your anxiety, it can lift your mood, it can relax you, it can heal. It's a marvelous, magical thing. So you should never lose sight and be humble to that, because that's a massive thing, and I think really good musicians are very, very humble to the art. I mean, music is huge, and we're all just tiny little steps up the mountain of it. But for me, it touches my soul. Music touches my soul, and that's the magic of it, that it can transport you.
Yes,
and that's the key element. So to try and to keep doing a living where I'm just trying to do that every time I go out to work. It's exhausting touching all these souls.
Oh, yes, sharing your soul all the time. That's so worth it. So worth it. I'm so glad you do that, Claire. I'm so glad. But I think you're right. And I love that term, compare and despair, because this is what we all do, isn't it? When I sing along to the radio most of the time, and I'm I'm comparing myself with that person. I don't sound anything like that, but I never do. And I suppose I haven't really, maybe I need to come and see you. I haven't experimented with finding my own voice. I don't really know what that is. So that would be,
I think you'd be a great singer, because your natural singing voice is an extension from your speaking voice. Now, you've got a wonderful speaking voice. You're very low, you're very calming, those wonderful things you've done when you do beautiful meditations. And I think that you suddenly just put that sound to some music. You should
expressing,
like speak. You shouldn't be like, I speak in this voice and then I sing in that voice. So next time you're singing, think to yourself, does that feel like how I'd say it? Does that sound, or have I just completely gone into this other personality?
I can have a little play with that. So good job I'm in a detached house, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but you got to sing out,
Oh, how lovely. But I really get that. And I think, for people like you just said, this lady in her 60s and producing a record, I mean, how marvelous is that? What a wonderful thing to be able to help someone do. Just so
it was great, actually. It was really great, because I looked at her and I thought, wow, how different her life would have been if she had done that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Her life would have gone in a completely different way. But the most important thing is that she found the time to do it, made her statement and sung her songs. And I thought that was really good, that she
love it. Love it. All power to it. I really, really love that. I love that. And I love that you can help people. So wonderful.
It might be you next now. I might have you in the studio. That could be
I've set myself up for that, really, haven't I? But no, it's something that's in me. I mean, I used to sing as a child. I was in a choir. I thought I was quite good, and I've lost my way a bit, and I'm coming back to it. And so it's something that's always there. And I just think, wow, it's on my to-do list, without a doubt. But I think we touched on emotions a lot there with singing, and you sharing your soul and everything. And my little personal story about how healing I find music to be. And I was lucky enough to see you just before I had a NEOP. A couple of years ago. My God, I can't believe it was that long ago. And I bought your album when I saw you, this beautiful album here, which is called Believing It, Claire Martin, Believing It, which is really about very, very emotional, actually, the whole album, to be honest, believing it, believing yourself and everything. And with your wonderful trio that you had are they from Sweden, did you say?
They are from Sweden.
They just blew me away. They're so amazing. So the four of you together, just wonderful.
And they really loved Hastings.
Of course, who doesn't love Hastings? Who doesn't love Hastings? But I really used this. The timing was perfect for me. I used this album to soothe myself through my recovery, through my healing. One song in particular, the Cherry Tree song, really was. I played it over and over and over. The way you sing it, your vocal tones, never mind the words, it's the tone. And I just found it so soothing and relaxing. And Yeah, so I'm very, very grateful for that. But again, it's that healing ability of just repeating, music.
Yeah, I think you just get absorbed in music, don't you? You let yourself go. And it's almost as if all the other stuff just go, you can't get any room for that, because you listen to music and it is balm, isn't it? It's balm.
Yes, that's a lovely way of putting it, actually. Yeah, because it's
a really nice story that you just said. Thank you for saying that, because when you make a record, you don't think that people are gonna, you think people are gonna enjoy it, and you hope people are gonna buy it and get what you're about. But when somebody says, and I was laying there and I was going through some recovery, that gives it another layer of importance that you don't necessarily think of as an artist. And when you hear that back, you go, blimey, okay, that actually made a difference to someone. And that's what it's got to be about.
Yeah, it really did. And it might sound a bit too dramatic to say it got me through it, because it wasn't life or death, but it did help my healing process. It was a treat for me.
And now you're back doing the high jump, right?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. All the time. But just that lovely, just to know, right, I'm relaxing, I'm listening, like you say, take me out of myself, using it for that healing process. I just adored it. And so I was very, very grateful. The timing was perfect and it was wonderful. But like you say, we can all use music in that way, can't we, to take us into another frame of mind.
Yeah. It's really tricky. It's quite tricky. It's sometimes as a musician, I've been thinking about this a lot during these months where we've been indoors so much. Sometimes it can be a bit busman's holiday, and I don't know what to listen to. I've had to really go, okay, what do I now listen to? So I'm so busy out there doing it, and now I'm sitting home going, okay, so what shall I listen to? So it's and I've rediscovered music through this, because I thought, I haven't heard that for years. It's made me remember. And what I love about music as well, apart from that wonderful story you just said, and thanks for saying that, is it not only it can heal, but it can ping you straight back in time.
Instant, isn't it?
Like an absolute time.
Yeah.
You're back there as 15 or 20 years old, and whenever you first heard it, and that whole, you can feel and smell where you were when you heard the music. And sends you backwards, and I love that.
Yeah, it's so instant, isn't it? And it catches you unaware sometimes, doesn't it? And that, like you say, it can be such a joy. Having said that, it can bring up emotions that are maybe not so pleasant, but again, it's powerful, isn't it? And that's okay in my world. That's okay.
Yeah.
To have emotions, definitely.
I believe I'm ducking from the sun.
I know it seems such a shame, but you're looking beautiful in the sunlight. See, the sun is just finding you, your natural glow, so you're shining out. But it's just wonderful, isn't it? Music has so much power, doesn't it? So
I mean, in a way, just to finish on that kind of power note, it can often have too much power. Like there's some music I just can't play.
Floods of tears instantly.
I just can't do it.
Yeah.
There's certain people that I'm still, that I'm either they've died and I'm still processing. My friend, actually, if I put his music on, I've got to know that I've got a couple of hours to go through where that's going to take me. Yeah. So it can be very powerful, and you can shy away from the emotion of it sometimes, because it's unbelievable. You're off,
it will bring stuff up, won't it? And that is beneficial sometimes, but like you say, timing, getting in the right place.
You can't be in Tesco's thinking about that.
It's not advisable, no. But it's beneficial, isn't it? And to be honest with you, Claire, though, there are times when I will purposely choose a piece of music because I want to have a sob, I want to have a release and cry. So sometimes, there is that benefit too. There's, dark and light, isn't there? It's what we're made of. So there is benefit, but you're absolutely right. So I'd like to talk a bit more about your producing role. That you've got your new production company now. Is it called Soup to Nuts? Is that what it's called? Soup to Nuts.
Well, I was telling my partner in this production, his name's Chris Traves. I said, I want to set up this company, and I want to take singers from being at my piano, working out songs that they love and keys and what they want to do, and they know they want to make a record, all the way through the studio process of booking the musicians, booking the sessions, helping them in the studio, because it's quite a man's world in the studio. There's not a lot of women in the production side of things, and then getting them through all of that, then mixing it, mastering it, and getting them the artwork and giving them the CD. So we go from the initial idea to having the CD. And he said, so Soup to Nuts then. And I was like, Soup to Nuts? what's soup to nuts? And I kind of, I looked at it and, oh yeah, the whole thing, soup to nuts, the beginning to
from beginning to
so
end.
I thought we must call it soup to nuts. And
I
so
love
we
it.
the lady that I was just telling you about. We did her Vilma Baum, we did her album, and we did Jenny Green's album. And I've got another one coming up, which is a young girl who's just come out the Guildhall, and it's her debut album. So
fabulous. Oh, how lovely.
She's great. So, you know, it's basically me in a more production style role, really, even though I'm not great at all the desk work. That's more Chris's stuff, but it's more a sort of mentoring role, you know, and because I can be very, I hope, useful with them in the
I'm sure, I think it's a lovely progression for you, isn't it? Because like you've said all the way through this, you know, you're giving, you know, you want to do that, that's in you. So this is another way for you to be able to do that, isn't it? And help people develop what they want to develop. So it's beautiful that you can do that.
I hope it's gonna work out, and it won't just be only singers, it can be instrumentalists, but I think singers will be my forte simply because of what I do. But you have to have something out there now as a calling card to get work. You can't just, you know, you have to be able to direct people to whichever platform it is to hear you. So you do have to go, and there still needs to be recorded music. So hopefully by this time next year, I'll have a few more under my belt, so I can learn as I'm going. But it's exciting, and it's I mean, I love it because I can get all the benefits of listening to it and help shaping it without doing half the work, really.
Well, maybe there's that angle to it, but it is, again, it's just using your expertise, isn't it, and helping other people, and it's so lovely. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, my mind went to, like, I've got an idea about having some sound behind my personalised meditations in whatever, you know, as I say, your voice was so beautiful, just simple tones, maybe something like that. So I definitely need to talk to you about that, because I think that would be wonderful.
I think that would be brilliant. I'd love to do that. And I think, you know, looking at people, what they're actually needing through this time where it's actually really challenging, spoken word and calming, lots of people struggling to sleep. And I've thought of doing that and actually asking you to be the voice over the top of that. So we've both had the same idea.
Something will come together. How lovely, how lovely. But no, I'm so pleased that you're doing this, because it's like, you're just perfect for it, aren't you? Like you say, you bring your expertise, and you've got your partner. What was his name again?
His name is Chris Traves, and at the top of his house in Penge, the throbbing heart of creativity, he has built a studio in his attic. But he's got all sorts of stuff in there, pianos, and he's wonderful. He's a great trombonist. He's a world-class musician. So between the two of us, we've got
good pairing. Good pairing. Beautiful.
And he's a lovely human being. So we get on great.
Brilliant, perfect for you. And I can see how happy it makes you just by the look on your face as you're saying it.
It does, actually, because I think I'm realistic now, and I know I've got years of singing ahead of me, but I have had a 33-year career, and a lot of the stuff that I've done in that time simply cannot happen again. The clubs have closed down. It's not available. We're not available to travel at the moment because of the state the world is in. The people I used to work with have died, sadly. So there's a lot of my greatest times, I think. I'm not sort of being miserable about the future, but I do realise that I've got to shift it a little bit now.
Adapt, evolve. I think to evolve, yes. But it's a natural progression, isn't it? And it's lovely, isn't it, that you're moving on and still doing what you love, but in a different way. You adapt, don't you, and change. And that's the very nature of life, isn't it? We move forward all the time. So so no, I'm really pleased for you. Wonderful. So I'm really a bit interested in knowing how you look after you in all this. I know we're talking about how you help other people and what you do, but is there kind of, is there self-care involved in your daily routine? And how do you look after you? How do you make sure that you're feeding your soul?
Well, I do. I am into yoga, and I have got a personal trainer that I have 2 hours with this guy, one on my own and one with my friend. Brilliant. And we lift weights, and it's quite so I do a bit of weightlifting. Yoga. I'm a vegetarian. I've given up all the smoking and running around late at night, and I do drink red wine, but I have had to look after myself. I've had to calm down. I live in Brighton, down the seaside, so I go and look at the space of Brighton and the beach. I know I can call on you if I needed to talk things through, which has been brilliant. And I have had that, really had that pleasure of you being in my daughter's life and my life. So I know I've got people that I can turn to, but keep looking after this as an instrument takes a lot of, I drink a lot of water. I never shout. I practice 10-15 minutes every day just to see where I'm at before I teach, because I need to know what I'm. So it is quite a lot of thought process, actually.
Yeah. Got to look after you a lot.
And then standing up in front of people and feeling strong and feeling confident about your body. That's where I'm thinking the training is doing me good, because I'm feeling quite fit. So fitness, really, and just, you know, just sort of, I mean, it's been hard this last, you know, year for everybody. So I've had more time to just sit, and I've tried to do some meditation. I'm learning how to meditate. I probably really should speak to you more about it, because it's quite hard.
It's not easy.
My brain down, you know.
It's finding what works for you, isn't it? And actually you're doing a lot. I mean, meditation doesn't have to be sitting still and quiet. It can be your power stuff, you know, focusing on one thing.
I think the counting actually.
That's meditation and mindfulness in itself. So don't give yourself a hard time about that. And there is a place, you know, for a guided meditation, because you're actually you're letting your brain rest, and you're using just one part of it while you're listening to the words. So you don't have to give yourself a hard time about it. Just, you're meditating in lots of ways. Singing is meditating, isn't it? You know, it's
singing is definitely meditative, and just if I'm learning a song, like I've got a gig coming up with so I'm learning a song by Stevie Wonder, and just listening to Stevie Wonder and singing through that song.
There you go. What could be better?
But I think it's just a case of you've just got to, if you're a vocalist in any way, if you're an actor, you're very mindful. Very mindful. And when I'm singing a lot and I'm doing gigs, I have to have silent days, so I can go for it at night.
It's got to be hard.
No, it's lovely. You just don't answer. Yeah, you wake up and you start speaking about 3.
Maybe I should try that.
And then you warm up about 4 or 5, and then off you. But no, you obviously you might have to pick the phone up if your mum rings, but you just try and rest your instrument. So
that's quite a discipline, I would imagine, but also quite a lovely self-indulgent thing to be able to do.
You just get used to it, though. You honestly do. And you might text somebody back going, call you later when I'm on the way, you know, but people don't. If you've got a gig in the
probably
evening,
respect that.
No,
I love that, actually. And that is, so you're having to look after you, aren't you, to make sure that you can perform the way that you want to. So no, I really like that, actually. I went to a silent retreat once. I've got to be honest, I was really scared.
I think that frightened the life out of me, because
I was very scared. I didn't know how it would be, but it was so freeing. I didn't want to come back to the talking bit, to be honest, and very emotional, because without the words, without the communication with people around you, which we naturally do, don't we? To have that not taken away from you, that just you didn't have to do it, was so interesting, because the emotions came up very freely.
Did you eyeball everybody, though?
We were advised not to, actually, because even that is communication. So this idea of every time you pass someone dropping your head and not even looking was very strange. 2 days. I didn't do 2 days, got to be honest. But you know, it brings up tears. You cry, you know, you do things that you don't realise you're going to do.
Everything sounded very loud when you came out of there.
It's so good for you. But yes, it was really, really enlightening, and I would definitely do it again, because it was so freeing just to be, because it was rules, you know, everyone was respecting that, and I really did quite enjoy it. So, and I'd forgotten until you said that, actually, that I'd done that.
Don't you think there was a sort of lack of sense of humour about all that? I mean, what if someone stubs their toe and goes, ouch? I mean, it's all a bit earnest, isn't it? All right. I mean, I'm saying this great, but
you're absolutely right. It's not the easiest thing to do, and I couldn't do it with you, for instance. You know, I did it with people I didn't know. Thank heavens. You know, none of that, because I just would have giggled all the way through it and been chucked out probably. But no, it was surprisingly freeing. It was really good. So I like your idea of having it because you need to do that. And
there's you know, lots of West End theatre actresses that do 8 shows a week, and they do 2 shows on Wednesday. Imelda Staunton, when she played Gypsy, she would have a complete on Sunday, her only day off. She didn't speak at all day or night.
I should think you've got 2
day and night of rest, and then all Monday. So you have day, night, and a day of nothing just to rest.
Yeah, I would imagine that you've
one 8 times a week. So there's quite a lot of silence involved, believe it or not.
I would imagine that you've got to do that, haven't you? And actually, it's something that when I was back in the day, when I wasn't looking after myself properly, you know, your body tells you, doesn't it, what you need. My body, when I needed rest, would stop me talking. My voice went. And that was the only way I'd stop working. My voice would go. So that was something that my body did to me. That was the only way I stopped working.
That's like a singer's nightmare, hearing that.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't looking after myself, Claire. That's, you know, it stopped, you know, as soon as I started looking after myself, but it happened far too often. But it was the only way that would stop me working was to take my voice away. So maybe my body needed to do that to me. But it's interesting. It's much better if you look after yourself first.
Yeah, you've got to.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. So really, it's been so lovely hearing about all that you do. So how can people connect with you and find out more about what you do? What's your website? How can people get in touch with you?
Anyone can get in touch with me by just going to my website, which is www.clairemartinjazz.co.uk. And on there's links to what I'm up to. There's links to Soup to Nuts, if anybody wants to make a record.
Yeah, definitely.
There's links to videos I've done and bits and bobs. I also, my teaching information is there if anybody wants to try and come and have a singing lesson. I'd say go for it. You know, don't feel like you need to be a great singer to have a singing lesson. Come and see if you can, because I think everybody can sing. They just need a steer. So I'm up for teaching people that have never sang a note, as well as teaching professionals. And hopefully on there, fingers crossed, there'll be more gigs as we open up into back to the real world, and they're all listed on there as well. And there's an email address, and I always answer any.
Yes, you're very good. Yeah, I can't wait till I can see you again. That's going to be such a joy, isn't it? So really.
That's where you can find me. Or I'm usually just wandering down Brighton Beach, aimlessly looking at the waves. Pondering my life.
Oh, bless, that conjures up quite a lovely picture.
That's at the moment. I can't wait to get down there tomorrow.
It's really gorgeous. The weather is being kind at the moment, so we've got to enjoy it. So just before we come to an end, I'd like just to ask you, if you can, to maybe just share with everyone some words of wisdom, maybe something that they can take with them and think about. Oh, Claire said that. So you've given tons of loads of words of wisdom, actually, as we've been speaking. Well, what would you say to someone?
I would say to somebody and I'm talking from a professional singer's point of view, I would say that thing we said earlier, just sing out and be proud of the voice you've got, because the world needs your voice, whatever it is you're saying, there's room for you. And secondly, just to, not to compare, and just to have a go at it. Really have a go at it, and just enjoy it, and just dip your toe into music as much as you can, and make music. And even if you think, do you know what, I am not enjoying singing, but I quite fancy African drumming, and there's an African drumming course now, where just go for it. You know, never think it's too late to do anything musical. You know, I think it's a great thing to do, and that would be my message. Just go for it, and sing out.
Sing out.
I will say that to you soon around the piano. I so love it, and you're absolutely right. And you're right. If it's not with your voice, then an instrument, and drumming again is very therapeutic, isn't it? So I've got a tambourine. Yeah, I love my tambourines. Anything. I mean, but there's some really there's just so many. You know, when choirs, there's so many local music hubs. There's lots of choirs down here. There's lots of workshops you can go on. There's lots of stuff online. Just put in YouTube, watch a few tutorials.
There's so much, isn't there? So great advice. I love that. So thank you so much for talking to me today. I have loved it. I knew I would. And you've shared so much with everyone. I'm sure everyone will just enjoy and embrace what you've said, and sing with abandon. That's what I think.
Sing with abandon. That's the word. Yeah, great.
That's what we want to do.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Claire. It's been a joy. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Calmer Self podcast. Please rate and review. And if you want support, advice, accountability and inspiration to make the changes you need to manage your stress and live your life with ease and joy, check out the Calmer Self Facebook page. There's also more information on LinkedIn, Nadine award-winning changemaker, and please visit my website www.calmerself.co.uk.